Mayor Brandon Scott is in some trouble. See, his wife worked at a nonprofit called Be More Empowered. That nonprofit received over $100,000 in taxpayer money while she was employed there. $80,000 of that money came one day before the couple actually publicly announced their relationship. The nonprofit is now delinquent in taxes, failed to disclose her salary, and was sued for not paying rent, and has stopped operations. Even when reporters asked questions about the $80,000 contract, it couldn't be produced. Even when they tried to reach his wife, Hannah Scott, she blocked them on LinkedIn. When reporters asked the mayor's office where the money went, radio silence. So this isn't just bad optics. According to nonprofit experts, this is a corruption scheme with red flags everywhere.
Track files, we back, just speaking facts. Big Reese here to react to another one. Figure I react to the story about the mayor of Baltimore. You know, that's where I be at. Baltimore, that's where I reside at right now. So it's about the money. You know, when it's about the money, people want to know what's going on when it's about the money. So make sure y'all subscribe. It's easy. Let's get back into it.
Let me walk you through exactly how this works and why it looks so corrupt. Let's get into it.
If I had taxpayer dollars and I said, I'm just going to stop what I'm doing, I would expect that the money providers would be asking me questions, and I would have to be very clear with them where their money was.
We have to talk about the timeline. Here's how it all unfolded.
Yeah, because I'm a taxpayer. I didn't know where the money go. Where the money at? Taking out my taxes, man.
You need to pay attention to the dates because the timeline is important. September 2021, Hannah Scott starts working as the Director of Operations at Be More Empowered, a nonprofit with the stated mission of empowering Black women and girls through mindfulness and entrepreneurship. A year later, Hannah Scott meets Brandon Scott, who has been the Baltimore Mayor since 2020. January 2023, Baltimore City government starts sending taxpayer money to Be More Empowered. The total from the city directly was $34,950 by 2024. So here's where it gets interesting. On July 18th, 2023, Be More Empowered gets rewarded an $80,000 grant from the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore at an event. Both Brandon Scott and Hannah Scott attended this event together. One day later, Brandon Scott and Hannah Scott publicly announced their relationship with a pregnancy announcement. So let me make sure that you caught that. They were secretly dating. An $80,000 taxpayer fund grant gets rewarded to her nonprofit. They're both at the event together. The next day, they go public with their relationship. So from July 2023 to June of 2024, the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund.
You caught off of that right there. You can't do that with the people money. You cannot use it for personal things, for personal use, for personal gain, with personal people you know, man.
The BCYF, which is 98% funded by Baltimore City taxpayers, sends a $62,500 check to Be More Empowered. So if you look at all those checks, all those grants that was given, it was about $177,450 in taxpayer money flowing to this nonprofit that employs the mayor's girlfriend turned wife. Then next year, 2024, Brandon and Hannah Scott get married, and then a year later, September 2025, Be More Empowered gets sued for not paying rent and announce a organizational pause, which is nonprofit speak for we're shutting down. Hannah Scott's employment at Be More Empowered ends the same month. And here's the problem. No one can account for where the money went. Over $100,000 in taxpayer money. Where did it go? No one knows. Now, let's talk about who awarded the money and why these connections matter. So there's a person by the name of Shalonda Stokes. She is the president of the Downtown Partnership at Baltimore. This is an organization that rewarded that $80,000 grant one day before the relationship announcement.
Partnership's president, Shalonda Stokes, has a salary of $317,000.
How you make that type of money working for the city? Jesus, president of what? Downtown? What? That's a lot of money, yo. That's a lot of money for a city official. That money breeds corruption. That money make you corrupt. That money gonna make you have to slide on deals. Make you have to slide off. Turn your head when you see certain other things. Slide off when something happen that you don't approve of, but you really approve of. Hey, look at all that money. It's crazy.
$1,000.
And here's where things get interesting. Shalonda Stokes has posted multiple photos and videos on Instagram with Hannah Scott. They went to the Beyonce concert together in July 2024. They're clearly friends. So your friend's nonprofit gets $80,000 from your organization, which is funded by the taxpayers, right before she announces that she's going to date the mayor. I'm sure there's nothing suspicious there. Now let's talk about the Baltimore City and Youth Fund, the BCYF, the other source of the money. BCYF is guaranteed funding every year through the Baltimore City Charter. This year was $16 million in the city budget. And BCYF BCYF is more than 99% funded by the Baltimore city tax dollars. So this is basically a city agency pretending to be independent nonprofit. Now here's the problem. The mayor's office appointed a representative to the BCYF's governing board. So the mayor has influence over the organization that then sends $62,000 to a nonprofit employing his wife. I'm sure you see the problem there. The Downtown Partnership received $28 million from the Maryland state government through the fiscal years of 2024 and 2025. Mayor Scott himself announced in 2022 that the Baltimore City was sending $1.6 million of the federal RAPA funds to Downtown Partnership, the one that gave Hannah's nonprofit $80,000, as listed as one of the funded programs. So Scott is directing city and federal money to Downtown Partnership, which then
Scott out there quarterbacking. You ain't no quarterback, you a mayor. What you doing? You quarterbacking where the money go with his chicks and all this and all that. Bro out there thinking Lamar Jackson in the city, bro. Come on, man. You know they wise.
turns around and gives $80,000 to his girlfriend's nonprofit. This is called a pass-through corruption. You don't directly fund your spouse's organization. You fund the middleman that then funds your spouse's organization. It creates a distance on paper, but the money still flows where you want it. This is a conflict of interest with a lot of red flags. It looks like corruption. But wait, there's still a lot of problems with this nonprofit. Be More Empowered isn't just connected to the mayor, it's also a complete mess within the organization. They're delinquent on tax filings. They haven't been able to file a 990 form for the fiscal year of 2024, which is due to IRS in May of 2025. That's the basic tax form nonprofits have to file to show what money they received and how they spend it. There is no public information on whether they received more tax dollars, what they did with it, how they use it, no idea. So when you look at Maryland's charity database, you see that Be More Empowered is officially delinquent. Also, nonprofits are required to disclose compensation for key employees. They didn't. We have no idea how much of that taxpayer money went directly into Hannah Scott's pocket as salary. They also got sued for unpaid rent. See, that $80,000 check was supposed to help them open an office in North Howard Street in downtown Baltimore. They never opened there. Instead, they moved to North Charles Street. Then they got sued in September 25 for not paying rent on that office. The same month they announced that they were pausing operations. And the biggest issue, no contract can be produced. When investigative reporters requested an $80,000 contract from the Downtown Partnership, it couldn't be provided. So let me repeat that. $80,000 in taxpayer money and the contract cannot be produced. So how are the people involved responding to the questions about the situation? Well, Hannah Scott doesn't want to talk. Apparently, she blocked a reporter on LinkedIn for trying to ask some questions. That's not the behavior of someone with nothing to hide. That's the behavior of someone who knows they got caught.
She said, I ain't got nothing to say. You can't say nothing once them people catch you, man. It's a paper trail. And look, what make y'all situation even more crazy is y'all lost the paper trail, but we know it's a paper trail. You can't lose the contract with a contract. At least if it maybe something in the contract, I'd be like, is it a contract? But
reporters also went to Brandon Scott's office. They sent him a list of questions.
Attempts to reach Mrs. Scott for comment were unsuccessful. The mayor's office did not respond to the following questions. How did Be More Empowered spend its taxpayer money? Will you request that Be More Empowered returns the funds? Was it a conflict of interest for Baltimore City to send Be More Empowered money as the organization was employing Mayor Scott's partner? A spokesman for BCYF emphasized that one of its grantees chose Be More Empowered as its fiscal sponsor. The spokesman did not respond to questions about how that money was spent and whether they'll get it back.
A fiscal sponsor manages finances for smaller nonprofits, but that raises even more questions. Where's the financial reporting? Where's the accountability? Where did the $62,500 actually go? Now, there was a spokesman for the Downtown Partnership.
they on this top about 80,000, 62,000. When you black, you can't do nothing. Nothing. And they gonna make everything seem like it's huge. Even when it is huge, yeah, it's wrong for stealing. That's crazy. They on this top about that, man. If he don't get them people that money back, if people don't get that money, if he don't give a girl the money to give to a girl, to then bring it to the mayor office and get it. Like, come on, man.
This said that the Boost program was funded by private donations and taxpayer dollars, a combination that varies depending on the grantee. But they won't say how the combination was for Be More Empowered. And they can't produce a contract. Everyone involved is either not talking or making something up. No one's providing any transparency. So the city council tries to fix this. They want to do something about it. So what they did was introduce a bill that would establish new regulation rules for this. So this won't ever happen again. It will prohibit BCYF from awarding taxpayer dollars to organizations with ties to its staff or board members and their family members. In other words, it would make what happened with Be More Empowered illegal going forward.
Replace the current BCYF
executive leadership. Tensions were high at City Hall, where dozens of concerned citizens testified on a bill that would require additional financial reporting and auditing of taxpayer-funded nonprofits through the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund.
It's now time for the City Council to return to authorizing legislation from 2020 to make needed updates to better align the legislative framework with...
All right, that's it. Mayor stealing. He hiding now. He was giving the money to a chick. She hiding. Let's see what the comments got to say. All the corruption is way worse than we realize. Your job exposing the fraud. Thank you. I miss me. I'm disgusted with the fraud, especially since if any of us did this, a regular citizen would be under the jail, lock them all up. And it wants to believe it's about beforehand. Why do you think so many past mayors have been arrested for corruption? I'm so sick to my stomach hearing about these people. I just can't anymore. I mean, look, they be trying to find loopholes, but the loopholes get them caught out. So, shout out to Hannibal's Hungry. I like this video. It's about the mayor. Is it just speaking facts and all? Is it corruption, or is him paying his dues when he get there, making sure he looking out for his people? Like, at least they ain't taking no money, selling no drugs, doing nothing back. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Get in my comment box. Tell me what you think. Big Head Reese. Just speaking facts. Subscribe. It's easy.